Daniel Akpeyi, thank you so much for joining us and for allowing us an opportunity to speak to you. Firstly, how are you? How are you? You've moved to Galaxy, moved to Bloemfontein. It's kind of like a fresh team. I know that you're playing with the guys that you played with at Solos, obviously, but you were mixed with some of the guys who were playing in the second tier last season. How are the things?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. Well, the transition is a bit of a difficult one, and it's quite unfortunate that, a team with so much history, will be sold someday, but then, because of the situation that was going on in the team, it has to be sold anyway. So, transiting into Marumo Gallants, it's a bit of a difficult one at first. Every team with their own rules and all of that. So you need to start adjusting to things. That is one of the toughest part of things for me, and the most tougher part is that when we had to relocate, me happen to leave my family that I've been with for years. I haven't stayed out of my wife's home, and I haven't stayed out of home, apart from my family. I haven't been apart from my family for a long time, ever since I got married and with kids and all that. And now you have to go start a life somewhere else while you prepare for your family to come over. The first, few days, it was kind of a hell for me, but so far I'm adjusting to the whole situation, and I'm adapting to what Marumo Gallant is offering. And I also want to appreciate the chairman who gave me an opportunity to be part of the team, because apparently it's not every one of us who was supposed to transit to the team is still here in the team with just a few numbers of us.
How was the reception in Free State in Bloem? You played your first game against the former side Chiefs in what was a sold out affair. So how has been the reception in the town?
Well, I must say that the reception has been so magnificent, coming from the fans. They love football. They want to see you play. They just want you to enjoy yourself. They want to support you. And, the good thing with them is that they don't only base on the big teams. As long as you're home with them, they want to be behind you. And that actually is a motivation to me on one side. And again, knowing that these people are there for you, you need to play for them. It brings out that energy in you for you to actually, give the best result that not just you need, but the fans, what they're expecting from you.
Then, what's the talk with chairman and the club, the coach, in terms of the objectives and what you're aiming for this season? Gallants, I remember, I think last season they were playing CAF Confed Cup, which is something one was not expecting. I'm sure they are dreaming big. Also this season, maybe they may not be like that season, because of course it's their first season since coming back from the second tier. What are the objectives that the chairman has spoken to you about? And also, secondly, your own personal goals as Daniel Akpeyi. Would you go for that golden glove maybe this season?
Well, in as much as the chairman hasn't really made a directive to with the players, to say, okay, this is our goal, but you expect that if the team has climbed a certain order before and now the team is back in the PSL, they want to exceed that others have climbed, or probably maintain it. So again, not the negative side, but the positive side, like being the CAF Federation Cups and all that, or maybe playing the Champions League. That is a target, for the team. That's what is expected of the team currently. And for me as a player, it has always been my dream to remain at the CAF, because that is the prestige of any player playing in Africa. You don't just want to play in the league, you want to be, in the CAF tournament, which is the highest level, of tournament in Africa at the moment. So that would be my target. They've been there, so it's not new to them. Unfortunately, they didn't get to cross over to the final or all of that, but then it's a target of we the players that is in the team, because there's a lot of young stars here in the team, and also experienced player who also want to experience that level. Once again.
Yeah. And then working with Coach Dan Malesela, I'm not sure if you work with him at Chipa because you were at Chipa for some time. His style of play is many people like him, like his style of play because it's kind of quick football and play on the ground rather than sky football. So I mean, like, how is the relationship between you and him, and how is it working with him again at Gallants?
It's very interesting that I have to work with Coach Dan again because it seems to me like he's so ahead of time where football is going to. Because I know when I worked with him in Chipa, when he came in, he wanted us to keep possession of the ball and not to kick the long one, not to play direct football like it was then. I was struggling that time when he came in, to know how to build up on the back and to play with my feet. But he taught me. He initially instilled it in me on how to start playing from the back. Then I got used to, playing with my feet and all of that because he put me into a lot of drills, how to start playing from the back. So it's quite interesting that he already saw ahead of time, where football is driving to. And today, most teams, try to play from the back and keep possession. They don't want to lose the ball. And coming to work with him now, it makes things even much easier because now I can say to myself, okay, no, I can play now with my feet and all of that, which has actually helped me a lot of time. And now it has actually impacted that also in the players because anybody that knows him knows that this is what he wants. So he actually, signs such players that can give him that kind of football that he wants. And so far, I think from our first game, you can tell that this is the direction we're going, and we'll just look to put the ball at the back of the net more.
Can I just take it back? You arrived at Chipa in 2015. What attracted you to this league, and what was it that you felt or that surprised you in the league? That was kind of like different from where you were coming from in Nigeria.
I think I've always watched South African League when I was back home in Nigeria, and I've always admired the league. I've admired, the spectators, I've admired the facilities they play on because, to be quite honest, in Nigeria we don't have, that kind of facilities, so what the PSL has. So I've always admired the league over here. And when the opportunity came, I didn't think twice about it. And come to think of it, I know of some certain players then, like what's his name now? He plays for Pirate then, he's a Nigerian boy who plays for Pirate during 2015 or so. The league was so interesting, It's something that anybody in Africa wants to be part of because come to think of it, the PSL is top 6 in Africa, you see. So those are the things that actually attracted me to play for PSL. When the opportunity came, fortunately it was cheaper where I started from, and it's been awesome for me, since that time that I came, trying to meet up targets, trying to be much better with every season, and that has brought me this far.
I remember when you moved to Chips, I'm not sure if it was 2019 or 2020. 2019, and then if I'm not mistaken, I was still a fan at that time. I was not a journalist yet at the time, so I was watching at FNB. If I'm not mistaken, it was your first game was Soweto Derby against Pirates. How was the feeling playing in front of big crowd like that? Did you have that experience, before that match?
Well, to be quite honest, before that game, I've had the experience of being in the national team. Remember, I was in the national team before I came to Chipa United, and it was the game I played against Bafana, the friendly game, which is probably my debut for the national team, the senior national team. That is what Chipa got to see me, and got to make contact and assign. So I'm already in that stage where I play in the front of those massive crowd and all that. So it wasn't really a shock to me for Ernst Middendorf to throw me in then to say, no, we have a big game this weekend, and I just signed that week, and I need to play that big game that week. So I naturally just become with the situation and see like, okay, it's one of those games again that I need to actually, play along with the crowd.
You played regularly for some time in Chiefs. I remember there was that season where you sat on top for quite a long time until the last day of the league. How much was the pressure? Because you know Chiefs, you know the fans, you know the criticism every time, not just you as a goalkeeper or as an individual, but the team as a whole. How much was the pressure, knowing that you're going into the field and you're carrying the hopes of, such a big team with so many fans in South Africa?
Well, I must say that the pressure that I actually was facing then was because, I had to, in a positive competition with the legend himself, it's Khune, and it was quite fortunate for me that I have to play every game at that point in time. So that put so much pressure on me because actually, with all due respect, the fans want their own to play, which is Khune. And quite unfortunate for him then, the coach preferred me to play, at that point in time. And I think that brings out the best in me because when I know that I have to compete with the best, it brings out the best in me because I am this type of person that mentally I'm strong. Yeah. So I don't really bother or get scared of what the crowd say behind me because there are some games that the crowd is sitting right on top of my neck here, even when I'm doing well, in the game. But then I've been trained to be mentally strong. I grew up that way and I was able to go through that pressure, and that only can bring out the best in me, and that's why I'm still here.
How is it so? Because I think with all Nigerian players, not only the ones based in South Africa, but with all Nigerian players, there is this element of having like strong mentality, even if you kind of like make a mistake. I remember when Nda made a mistake in the Soweto derby, but he just came back and be the same that like it doesn't like immensely affect you even if you made a mistake before. Like how does it come? Is it the way you are developed or you grow up?
I think basically it's the way we grow up in Nigeria because it's funny, growing up in Nigeria is a pressure of its own. Without anybody putting pressure on you, you have to live under pressure, you have to wake up under pressure, you have to also under pressure. So it's just a natural instinct that, as you come to live with like a daily thing in you. So now bringing it into the game of football is fun, and is enjoyable. And so when those pressure come, it's no longer something new to you anymore because you grew up like that in an environment already. Imagine you growing up in an environment where you get bullied every now and then. You get used to bully. So obviously when you're in an environment now that, you're enjoying your game and you're getting bullied, the bully wouldn't really mean anything to you anymore because that is how you grew up. So I think that is just our mentality. What you just face life squarely.
And then just to go back a little bit to that season at Chiefs, you lost the league on the last day of the season. I mean, how difficult was that to kind of like deal with or handle? With you having put that maximum effort the whole season, only to lose the league on the last day.
I think it's one of the most painful season for me because I have longed for these, all my, career here in South Africa because I want to win a major trophy. Yes, we qualified for the Champions League. Yes, we got to the final of the Champions League. But then, I wanted to be able to handle the trophy to say, okay, yes, we win the league, and we win the Champions League. But because of some unforeseen circumstances and we losing concentration, at the last day end of the league, that's how we lost that trophy. And and we lost the league rather, and we lost the Champions League. So it's quite so painful. I wish, time can actually come again where, I can have the time to actually lift these trophies up.
And then now you have your counterpart, if I can say it like that, Bali, a cheaper. You also started a cheaper. So, like, do you speak to him? What kind of advices have you given to him? Maybe like has he also maybe phoned you at times asking for advices? He's playing for Super Eagles as well now. What kind of conversations have you had with him?
Bali is a big boy now, so I think he knows the system even much better than myself now. But initially, when he came into the system, when he joined Chippa United, we don't really speak often. But the few times I will speak, I actually try to make sure that I encourage him, to make sure that he keep his head calm. And when he joined Chippa United, I remember once or so, I think it's once, I told him the situation that he has to be able to manage in the PSL, and when he's been given opportunity for him to play regularly in Chippa, how he should be able to calm himself down for him to achieve his goals in South Africa is for him to be humble and to make sure he's focused, because there might be a lot of distraction around, but if he's focused, then he will achieve his dream. And I'm happy for him today that so far he's doing well and he's achieving his dream.
Last question before we go. Would you advise more Nigerians to consider the league?
To be quite honest with you, I think Nigerians need to consider this league because without disrespect, with all humility to the Nigerian league, there is no way you can compare it to the South African league. We have a whole lot of good players in Nigeria, a whole lot of good talent in Nigeria, but they need this kind of exposure for their talent to be seen around the world. It's not that they cannot be found, they cannot be seen in the Nigerian league as well, but the PSL league, like I said initially, is one of the top 6 league in Africa, and is one of the best in the world as well that is recognized. So with all the talent that we have in Nigeria, if you can find a way in the PSL league, then trust me, it will be easy for you to showcase yourself in the world.
Thank you so much, Daniel Akpeyi, for offering us this opportunity to speak to you. Wishing you all the best with the team as well this season.
Thank you so much for having me.
And go.